Championships yesterday, but he's still not allowed to represent Great Britain at the Olympics. Well, that could be about to change. Tomorrow, the British Olympic Association and the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, go head-to-head at the Court of Arbitration over the ban. Well, I'm joined now by Jonathan Crystal, a sports lawyer who defended Dwain Chambers against the BOA when he tried to get in the Olympics 4 years ago, and John Goodbody, Sunday Times sports writer and Olympics expert. A very good morning to you both, gentlemen. I mean, John, if you could start us off here, because it's quite complicated. Just at the heart of this dispute is that WADA, the World Agency, say the BOA bylaw banning athletes for life is illegal.
Yes, because it's not compliant with a code which was agreed in Copenhagen in 2003, when in fact I was asked to speak at the conference. And this code lays down that the maximum penalty should be 2 years ban, which of course Chambers has already served.
And there's the cyclist David Miller as well.
And the cyclist David Miller, who is another figure who's involved here. The British Olympic Association is now unique of any body in the world in having an additional penalty, or they would say an eligibility rule, which is that if any Briton is found positive for a serious drugs offence, then he is unable to compete, or in fact to coach the British team at the Olympic Games.
So he's got to stay well away. I mean, Jonathan Crystal, do you think he has any chance this time round? As I said there, he tried 4 years ago, Dwain Chambers. Do you think he'll succeed this time?
Well, I hope he does. I mean, one needs to start from the position that this is the World Anti-Doping Code, and the 193 countries that have supported the Copenhagen Declaration, they all take the view that the advantage of the World Anti-Doping Code is that it gives clarity and harmonisation. And so other countries, their athletes have had a ban and then they've been allowed to compete again. And we saw this yesterday with Justin Gatlin, who won the race in which Dwain got a bronze medal. He's already served a ban and now he's eligible to participate in the Olympics.
I mean, what would you make of that, John? I mean, you know, it's not just the narrow definition of these laws. There is, you know, the kind of moral aspect of this. Well, a lot of athletes don't want to see so-called drug cheats coming back ever.
We've got to go back to when the BOA originally brought in this bylaw. They brought it in 1992 because the athletes themselves wanted it, and a vast majority of them did. At that stage, about 90%. They do this anonymous survey each 4 years after the games to find out, you know, various things of which this is one. And I mean, you've got to applaud the British Olympic Association for doing what a lot of governing bodies don't do, which is to do what the athletes themselves want. Yeah. And they brought this in, and of course, up until very recently, they were code compliant. There's a letter here, which I've got here, 2009, from WADA saying that the BOA were code compliant. The problem then came was when the International Olympic Committee had their case taken to the Court for Arbitration in Sport, who will adjudicate tomorrow, and they found that their one games ban for anyone found serious with a court case was outside the code, in which case WADA then stepped in.
There are a lot of bodies here, and I want to keep our viewers on board here. So, I mean, Jonathan, what happens might be the case that the British Olympic Association lose on this, but just refuse to consider Chambers or others for the team. Is there any further legal recourse there?
Well, I think the position is that if the BOA are unsuccessful before the Court of Arbitration of Sport, then that means that Dwain, like any other athlete, will be eligible for selection, because it's an ineligibility rule which so far has prevented him from access to the team. He would then become eligible, and as an eligible athlete, if he wins the race that gives him access to it, then he's entitled to be selected.
Entitled to? What happens if he's not? If you say, right, you're not.
Well, I mean, if he's not, I think firstly, I think it will be a severe embarrassment to the BOA if they then decline to select the best man, because that's inconsistent with the whole ethos of sport. It's a competition, and the man who wins and is eligible to participate for Great Britain.
I mean, John, would that be an embarrassment to the BOA? Because if you say athletes support like these lifetime bans, I bet the public do too.
Yes, but my understanding is that the BOA will accept the ruling, and I think given the fact that particularly that Britain are actually staging the games, that they will fall into line. They have got the moral high ground, in my opinion. I think that they have made a stance, and the World Anti-Doping Agency, for many people, should have been much more proactive early on this case, which of course they knew about for a long time.
OK, well, gentlemen, we must end it there. Thank you both very much indeed, Jonathan Crystal there and John Goodbody. Now, still to come on Monaghan, the Liberal Democrats have voted not to support the health bill in the House of Lords. I'll be speaking next to Deputy Leader Simon Hughes. And the Archbishop of Westminster has waded into the debate on gay marriage, so can it ever be resolved? And it's that time of year again. The Cheltenham Gold Cup is this week. I'll be speaking to Cheltenham's boss, Edward Gillespie.
Tonight, we'll see some strong Arabica coffee brewing over the Middle East.
Central and eastern Britain will be sunny, dry and warm going into the afternoon, whereas the west will keep a lot of cloud. That'll thin out over much of Southern Ireland and the West Country, with sunny spells developing for most, but Northern Ireland, Western Scotland and the West